Brighton finished in Europe again. Can they repeat it in a second year running? And Newcastle United in the transfer market. Who are the latest links? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian
All right, folks. I hope you guys are all well. I hope you guys are all blessed. It is absolutely deep summer heat here in England. I don't know how it is where you guys are at, but it's steaming where we are. I'm not complaining. I'm sweating. I was saying to Mitch in the background, I've got my Southern Baptist preacher towel here. So if you see me wiping my forehead, just that's what it is. So I'm sure you guys have got yours. And as always, folks, you guys could have been anywhere here in the world, but you're right here with us. So God bless you guys. Welcome to the show. I'm super excited to be continuing another series for our from a rivals lens series. This time it's Brighton. We've done Aston Villa. We've done Man United. We've done Tottenham. We did Tottenham last week with our man Ashmatic. He was, he had a fantastic time with him. He is incredible football analyst. And it was great to hear him kind of give positive feedback on the work that we're all doing here in terms of being able to not only assess teams' squad depth and quality, but looking at their financial situations and everything else. So it was really, really good to kind of get that from him. And so we're looking to do it again with Brighton today. Good to see my man Rob, New Spurs. Howdy, Rich put me over. Oh, Rich put you over. Let Rich know forever. Always a blessing. He's a proper gentleman. Great to have you over, Rob, as well. And hopefully myself and Rich will be doing some future shows together. But for tonight's shows, as we said, we're going to be looking at Brighton as we've done for our other teams. We're going to have it doing a squad depth and quality analysis of their season so far, but also looking at their financial situation. How much SCR financial headroom do they have going into 26 season? Can they maintain the momentum they achieved over the season they just had? Will be the big question. And as always, we'll be talking some Newcastle United related news in relation to transfers and hopefully a scouting report. But you guys know I can't do this by myself. Not only have I got you guys the incredible chat, as always, I'm thankful for all your live comments, your likes, shares, and subscribes. And yeah, you guys add substance to the show. But I've got our friend of the channel. The man has been with us a number of years now, adding absolute quality to all that we're doing. Runs a fantastic channel called Where the Hours Sleep. Without further ado, let me reintroduce our man Mitch back to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very well, man. Very well. Loving the heat, loving the World Cup. It's all going well. It's all going good. Pleasure to be back as well. It's always a pleasure to be here. Great chat, always great conversations, and it's been a while, so it's good to get back into it.
Absolutely. Do you know what? You mentioned the World Cup. I haven't given it a thought today. I don't know why. Let me know in the chat, folks, what you guys are thinking of the World Cup so far. Mitch, before we get into Brighton and everything else, what's your kind of view of the World Cup? But before I actually do that, let folks know where they can find you. And I know you've done this a little while ago, but it's because it's been a while ago. Let people know where you got the name for your channel from and what it's all about, and yeah, how they can kind of find you and subscribe and watch shows.
Cool. Yeah, so we are Where the Owls Sleep. There's me and there's 6 of us that are regular panelists. We sort of rotate, so there's not 6 every week, but we try and get as many as possible. We'll do unique discussions about random things that are going on in the football world. It won't all just be focused around one team or the main subjects like all the other channels do. We'll try and find something that's a little bit unique to discuss. You can find we're at WTOS_pod all the socials, TikTok, all of that. Find us there, little shorts going out, which are decent. And that is us, basically.
Brilliant. And where'd you get the name from?
The name. I knew I was forgetting something now. I started reading stuff off and was like, I'm forgetting something. So yes, where the owls sleep. So in England, we call it the top bins. We call it the bracket, stanchion, the top corner. In Brazil, when it goes in the top corner, they say that's where the owl sleeps. And that's where the channel name came from. We was looking for something slightly different that was football related. And that was something that actually a few of us in the group have used before we even had a channel years ago. So it got chucked into the mix and it stuck.
Nice. Well, great to have you on, sir. Let's get into it. All things Brighton. Now, Mitch, it's my first time doing this version of Final from a Rivals Lens show with you. I'm going to start with the finances. It's going to be, and then we're going to be talking about the squad quality, also the depth in terms of the minutes of the team as well, and combine it together to get kind of an overall view of the squad itself. So for you to kind of assess it, where Brighton are at, and what shape they're into the summer window for, and as always, there's going to be some. We want to keep an eye on our rivals and see where they're at and what they're doing. So yeah, man, let's do it. Let's get to it. So first things first, folks, I've got this from a number of sources. If you put it together, Swiss Ramble, Greg Cordell, a few other sources as well. The Athletic put it all together in the old AI, jumbled it up. And as always, I want to always know. I don't want to know all the aspects of a financial club, but I do want to know how much SCR financial headroom they have. So how much can they spend? That's the key thing. What's the bottom line in all of it? And the thing to remember with Brighton is that they've qualified for Europe. So they are under the UEFA SCR limit of 70%, not 85%. So obviously Newcastle, unfortunately, we're not in Europe. So we can spend 85% of our revenue on our squad, which includes the transfer fees, the wages, the agent fees, all of that goes into when you're calculating the overall squad cost in comparison to the revenue. So that's what Brighton are doing. We know that they've got a buy, develop, sell, sustainable growth, profitable player model. They are a selling club, proudly a selling club, meaning they have a business model that they build their revenue on selling players, right? We did Tottenham last week. Tottenham aren't a selling club. Tottenham have a fantastically big stadium, a huge fan base. They're even selling paintings as well. Yes, there's not even a banter. Like they told me they're doing a huge auction selling paintings for hundreds of millions of pounds to add to their transfer kitty. So that's the opposite of a selling club, i.e., selling club in terms of using players as their main revenue. Whereas that is the main thing that Brighton are doing. Brighton aren't selling paintings. They haven't got a stadium the size of what Tottenham have, or a fan base either. So they are very, very big on buying and selling players, and that's gonna play a role in a little bit later of the show when we're kind of discussing how they're gonna finance it and going forward, what players they keep, what players they sell. We know, for instance, they've already sold Van Heck, for instance, so that's going to be a dent in their squad quality. And how are they going to replace that? So in terms of revenue, they're counting from 24-25 season. Obviously, that's the cycle they're using to get into the 25-26 season. They've got 222 million revenue from that, with a wages plus amortization of 247 million, operating costs, which is really low at 57. If you compare that to Chelsea on 400 million plus operating costs. So just to let you know, there's levels to this, and I only know that because of Bobby Fairview. So when you put it, so when you put all of that down together, and keep in mind the sale of Van Heck as well onto this, before when you talk about the squad cost ratio, before the Van Heck sale, you can see it to the right there. Brighton had 63 to about 66% of their SCR, so that's 63 to 66% of their squad cost of their total revenue. So they're already well within the 70% limit. After the Van Heck sale, I remember this. This is how good Brighton are. They bought Van Heck. Guess how much they bought Van Heck for, Mitch?
I'd imagine it was single digits. I'd say 8, 7, 8.
Close. 1.8 million.
1.8 mil.
They bought Mr. Van Heck for 1.8 million. Good to see my man Andrew Graham here. God bless you, sir. Yeah, 1.8 million. Sold him for 52 million.
Yeah, they're the king to this. They're just the kings of this player turnover stuff. They're just so good at it. No one even comes close to rivaling them for this. It's just crazy.
Crazy. So that's reduced the SCR from 63 to 66% to 58 to 61%. So they've got roughly 10 to 12% of free financial headroom in terms of being able to spend. If you put that into perspective, before even having to make a sell, they can spend between 125 to about 150 million pounds without having to make a sell.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? They bought in for 1.8 mil, yeah?
Yeah.
They've recouped that in loan fees before this sale. So they've received more loan fees than 1.8 million pounds before they even sold him to Tottenham. Like that is just outrageously good business. That's just unacceptably good business. Like who does that? That is unbelievable stuff.
And that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And he had a year left on his contract.
Mate, that's dummy. That's like I'm just baffled. I'm like dumbfounded how they paid 1.8 mil, got like about £7 million in loan fees in over a couple of loans, and now sold him for £52 million.
Yes.
Yeah, they're outrageous.
Absolutely. So they've phenomenal business, and it means they can spend between 125, 150 million without even having to make a sale. And we can already tell they've got no problems in making sales themselves. So there's no urgent need for that. Hence why they got a lot of leverage when they're doing sales and everything else. So, but we're gonna see a little bit later. They do spend when they need to. So essentially, Brighton are coming into this summer window in a very, very, very strong position. They're even stronger now from the Van Heck sale. And for the audience that have been watching this before, if you compare that to Villa, if you compare that to Tottenham is a bit less because Tottenham, obviously, they've got 85% squad ratio and they've got a good revenue anyway. But if you compare it to Villa, for instance, and Man United, even though Man United are trying to make improvements, all those teams, their expenses are super, super, super sky high. I don't know if anybody's noticed the Villa. I don't know if you noticed the Mitch. They're going to have to sell Morgan Rogers, and I think maybe their fans are going through the denial phase like we did with Isak. He's going to go, guys. He's going to go. And but because they sold their club to themselves, and they can't do that in Europe, they've got this looming cost that's going to cost them after that as well. So I don't know if you noticed, but the players they've been linked to, I know they're linked to Harvey Barnes for 40 million, but they're linked to like some either free agents or all the players. It's not like I haven't seen the link from Villa just yet where I'm like, wow, they're going for that guy. And this is a team that's going to Europe back to back and a trophy.
It's crazy, yeah. They've been lucky for a few years as well. It's literally they're bang on the limit. Well, I think even last time they qualified for Europe, they were above it. They were in like the 90s somewhere. And they had to do something mad, which is why they ended up with all the loans and stuff. So yeah, exactly. They've got a lot of work to do, which is probably why you're seeing free agents being linked and players that sort of supplement what they've already got, but don't really take them on to the next level.
That's a good point. Actually, we're going to go back to that in a moment. Andrew says, no reason why Newcastle United can't use the Brighton model, but at the next level. Yeah, like Chelsea, City, they've built whole academies for that, and it's taken them through. So I think that's the next level. I make a good point that Andrew Raymond says, as always, he says, hi, Toon Tactics. Hello, sir. Are you Piv set up Newcastle United right now? And Amanda Staley should try buy Newcastle United now. I know you're fighting for this, Raymond, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, to be honest with you. I think she's trying to buy West Ham. But do let me know what your thoughts are on Brighton as well. We've got here Rob. Rob says, Rob, if you said I'm a Man United supporter, but your name, Rob New Spurs, put me off. I thought you was a Spurs fan. So interested to know the reason behind your name. It says, I'm a Man United supporter. It's a long story. Oh, the expenses. Yeah. If you get a chance, Rob, and I did cover it. Your financial situation, and you are making headway, but geez, you've got some deadly contracts on there that are just costing you guys at the moment. All right, hence why the Mateus Fernandes situation is dragging out. So that's the Spurs financial situation. In conclusion, not Spurs, Brighton financial situation, very, very strong, super strong. Compared to all the teams I've covered so far, Villa, Man United, Tottenham, they are like 5, 10, 8% higher than everybody else when it comes to this at the moment. They're doing phenomenally well. But obviously, they've got much smaller revenue compared to all those teams as well. All right, so let's talk about the team in terms of, begin to talk about the team, the squad itself. Now, we'll kick off with the minutes. Last year, guys remember when I did this, all I had was minutes to go on, and I was using that to do my squad analysis. This year, because of data MB, I get to add the metrics and the quality to it, which I was going to add a little bit more to the show and everything else. But just for the minutes, and I want to start off at the top and get your thoughts on this, Mitch. Keep in mind this, folks, right? Brighton have played 43 games this season. Overall, all cup competitions and the Premier League, 43 games. That's amounted to 40,000 minutes, 706 minutes, right? Compared to, for instance, Villa and ourselves. Villa played, I think, 58,000 minutes, between 54 and 58,000 minutes. We're not too far from that. The average squad age is 26 years, which is really, really good. Spurs weren't too far from that. Villa weren't too far from that. Newcastle, we've got the OEPs. Like we're like, geez, we're like in the 28. So when you hear Rob Wilson, keep on saying we need to lower the age limit, that is no joke. Every team I've covered so far, they're around the 25, 26 period age limit. Newcastle are absolutely high up there. So the average minutes per player is about 1,800 minutes as well, or excuse me, 1,900 minutes as well. So that's where we're at. When it says 21 players at the top, is that I want folks to know that when I did the minutes for the players, I did the players from 500 minutes and up rather than anything below that, because I want players in minimal minutes, with at least 500 minutes, minimal minutes in that. So it covers 21 players. When we move on further to do the data MB, that gets even smaller, because data MB only notices players that played 1,000 minutes and more, which I don't mind, because it adds to if were these players actually having an impact on your squad or not as well. So that's important to note. So they're core players, those that have played 2,000 minutes, 500 minutes or more. Ferdi Kodoglu, I can't pronounce the name, Ferdi Kodoglu, their fullback, Bart Verbruggen, a goalkeeper that we've been linked to in the past, Jan Paul van Heck, who obviously has now been sold to Spurs, and Lewis Dunk, their agent centre-back there. So those are the main ones over there, followed by Tier 2 players who played between 2,000 to 500 minutes, which includes, again, the agent Danny Welbeck, but the young Yankuba Minte, who I wish was still playing for us, to be fair with you, and Yasin Ayari, who's recently been linked to Newcastle. After that, you've got your 15 to 2,000 minutes between Jack Hinshalwood, for instance, Georgina Ruta, the likes of Pascal Gross and those players over there as well. So what's interesting, Mitch, right at the bottom, there's an age profile. In this squad, Brighton have 5 players that are 18 to 21, 6 players that are 22 to 25, only 3 players that are 30 to 33, and 2 players that are 34 plus. So it's a young squad. We've got, if you guys remember for Newcastle, we've already got rid of a lot of older players. Kraft, Trippier, Ruddy. So I'm expecting our age limit to go down. To also say, so you got the main players, the highest minutes. They've, in terms of minute distribution, they played 32% of their games, so they're super, super important. So yes, Brighton have got this incredible model of selling and buying players, but Paul Van Heck is incredible quality and has played a lot of minutes for them. So they've got to figure out how to replace him.
Yeah.
So that's their squad minutes at the moment. Young squad, didn't play as much minutes as Aston Villa and Newcastle and the likes, but obviously they've got a squad where the minutes seem to be distributed quite well. I mean, and they're a young squad. What's your kind of thoughts on this, Mitch? When you kind of look at it?
Well, overall, my only kind of little bit of a worry for them, which I've always said since they got Europe, is it's a big ask with the squad they've got. I know they're good at flipping players and they're good with rebuilds and stuff like that, but the minutes go up that quite a lot. So looking at the image here, we've got 8 players that played over 2,000 minutes. They said 2,000 minutes isn't too bad, but 2,500 is about 28 games. And the guys in the bracket above is pretty much playing a full Premier League season. So they're playing every minute of every game. And one of them has left. But then when you look below this, which is basically their starting 11 and their bench, the players they're bringing in, there's not really much backup. So I feel like they've got quite a lot of work to do this summer to try and make sure that they don't fall off in any way, shape or form. I feel they need to try and keep hold of everybody and then add more. But now they've lost Van Heck. There's talk of Ayari going. Haven't really seen any other real rumours about them. But then they've got to replace them 2. And they already really needed about 4, maybe 5 additions just to make sure they can rotate sufficiently to keep where they need to be in the Premier League.
I've got some interesting slides I'm going to show a little bit later about what Brighton did last time they were in Europe.
Okay.
That might be an indicator of what they might do this time. But I fully agree with you. The squad's not big enough. And this is just the minutes. When we start looking at the quality of the squad, that 21 players reduces to 16.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to. Well, it's now 15 because Van Heck has been sold. So there's quite a bit of work there to do for sure. Got in the chat. Good to see my man Adrian here as always. He says, evening Phil, evening Mitch, evening Raymond. Yes, good to see you. Raymond says, hi, Team Tactics Philip. Ayari should sign for Newcastle now, and also Balogun. Florian Balogun should sign for 50 million euros. Deal should sign for Newcastle. So that's probably a player that we should look at in the future in terms of doing a scout report on him. I don't know if you know much about Florian, Mitch. I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched too much of him.
I watched 1 game in the World Cup. That was it. He looked sharp, looked lively, looked decent. But you get these players sometimes in the World Cup, they have a banging World Cup, go for big money and then fade away into nothing again. So, yeah, I wouldn't base too many things on that. I haven't watched Monaco once over the last few years. So, no idea what he's like as an overall player.
Take it with a pinch of salt, basically.
Yeah, World Cup performances, you kind of have to, unless they're backing it up in somewhere at a decent team that are actually or maybe not even at a decent team, just in a decent league, they've backed it up over a period of time. Sometimes someone just pops up out of nowhere at the World Cup.
No, exactly. I agree. Speaking of popped up from nowhere, my man Wilbur here. Good to see you, sir. God bless you, sir. All right. So that's the minutes. I wanted to add to this in terms of injuries, right? Because and I'm not trying to do it from the perspective of they didn't do nothing. They didn't play many games. They didn't get many injuries. so they didn't do nothing. No, they still achieved what they achieved. But you always have to face the reality of what that squad faced. And I'm going to go into it in a moment, but this is all their injuries for the season so far. And what I try to do, Mitch, is try to, rather than cover every injury, I'm not going to do that. What I try to do is find where the worst cluster of injuries for that team, where have they been tested the most. So I did Tottenham last time. Tottenham's squad was annihilated. I know Tottenham got bantered a lot for finishing 17th, but goodness gracious me, their injuries were unbelievable, honestly. But the worst cluster of injuries, from my opinion, when I'm looking at, and this is obviously kind of from game weeks at the top here, it were from, I think I did it from game week 6 to game week 16, I think it is. That was the worst cluster of injuries for them. Yeah, sorry, game week 6 to 14, right? And that involved Karim Matoma, Veltman, Webster, who was injured all season, Milner, Tariq Watson, and Solly March. Now, even out of those players, Mitch, I think the key players from that were probably Matoma and Veltman. So two of the kind of more important players, right? And if you, for instance, like I said, you compare them to Tottenham, who had 7+ players missing at any one time, they had even up to 10+ in certain periods as well. It's a lot higher. So their injury record was pretty bad. But in terms of importance to the team, I think Matoma and Veltman were the main kind of issues there. So on top of playing, if you compare to other teams, they played 40,000 minutes, 43 games compared to yours. For instance, Newcastle, Villa played 50 games plus. Spurs, they played 50 games plus. They played more games than Man United, because Man United played 40 games. So they can say that, but they haven't played too many games compared to the rest of the teams, rivals around them. And they've been, in my opinion, and at the same time, they've done well to keep their injuries down, which is helpful. I say that to say this: when they play in Europe, all of that's gonna be tested on top of what I think is a squad that needs filling out. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Mitch.
Yeah, I have to fully agree. Like, looking at this, as much as I don't like to say, injuries, this, injuries, that, they do seem like they had a relatively clean season. Karim Matoma is a big miss for anybody, but if you can get through your season and you look at a patch like this as your worst injury spell of the season, you've had a good season for injuries.
Exactly. I agree. Wobojog says, when are we doing Arsenal? I don't know if you noticed, Wobojog, but I'm doing the strugglers. I'm doing the guys that are in the trenches, not the winners. Like, that's no one wants to. No. I will be covering on Arsenal, but I'd love to know, Wobojog, if you'd like to come on the show, probably maybe Mitch and myself and do it. Maybe even if you're shy with a camera, you can do an audio, but it'd be great to have you on. But yes, I will be doing Arsenal pretty soon. Actually, whenever I look at Arsenal's metrics, they're always super, 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 super impressive. So we're definitely struggling next season.
That's a unique take.
That's like Mayweather saying, should I drive the Rolls Royce today or the Bentley? You know what I mean? We'll see. All right. So that's their minutes, that's their injury, that's their squad. In terms of the players themselves, remind myself how many played 2,000 minutes. So 4, 8. How many there? 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 8, 15. So around 15 players I've got here that have played between 1,500 to 2,500 minutes, which on the face of it is relatively small. And obviously Veltman is there, who's going to be the 16th one. So, and even the other ones, Boskagli actually was loaned out. So his minutes are the loan out minutes, as well as Gruder as well. So they're still busy loaning out. Newcastle should consider loaning out. Should get better at it now that Mr. Amiobi has left. So
we'll see. 100%. Yeah, we've got to start using the loan system a lot better. We hardly ever use it. Amiobi gets a lot of stick for it, but isn't he just like player liaison or something like that?
No, he's in charge of the loan system. The loan.
Okay. I always thought he was the guy that just made sure the guys on loan got everything they needed, rather than
they weren't
actually sorting the loans.
He wasn't even doing that. I don't know how many successful loans we've had.
Very few.
And the one successful one, Minte, that was Thingy that did that. The last sporting director, I forgot his name now. What's his name?
Ashworth, wouldn't it have been, or would it be Mitchell?
Yes, Dan Ashworth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did the minutes. Now let's look at the quality. And you would have seen me, Mitch, use Data MB before. That's the radar one with the metrics. So what I've done is I've for each position, so goalkeeper, fullbacks, centre backs, midfield, forwards, and then strikers, I've put all the players for that said team in those metrics, and then asked AI to give me the average percentile for that position, right? So obviously you'll have some players that are elite at something, not elite at something. Just give me the overall average for that position. And so what that means is on the top right, for instance, if that position's got 70 plus and above in terms of average, this team is a genuine Champions League caliber unit, right? And I have yet to come across that team. Maybe when I do Arsenal, I might get there.
Then I've got even on Man United, you didn't come across.
No.
Okay, interesting.
No. 50 to 69 competitive Premier League level, and obviously there's variations into how competitive that is. And then 40 to 49 mid-table quality, and then below 40 is a significant weakness. We're talking about relegation level. So starting from the top for Brighton, their overall squad percentile level altogether is 57. So it's a competitive Premier League level team, of which they are. They got 8th position. What was good about this, because I was nervous when I was first kind of doing this, I remember I showed Spurs to Ash, and the first thing Ash says, that's exactly correct for Spurs. So that gave me some relief because it was absolutely correct. Because I was like, are you sure? Like, because he's like, this is exactly correct. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to run with this. That gave me some confidence. So 57 percentile for them. Okay, bearing in mind though, so we're not looking at 21 players no more. We're looking at 16 players because only 16 players played 1,000 minutes or more and covered by Data MB. Obviously, we've got the average squad age, minutes there as well. So that's a 9. Before I get into it, what's your kind of overall take on that 57 percentile? Did you think it was going to be higher, lower?
I thought it could have been maybe marginally lower, but it's about right for where I would assume Brighton would be. This season, I think they've exceeded expectations ever so slightly, but that's also because I feel a couple of the other teams didn't really perform. But yeah, this is where I'd expect a Brighton to be honest, in and around that bottom end of the European conversation most seasons.
Yeah. And if you look at their goal, and this is going back to their depth, right? So, for instance, starting with the goalkeepers, there's only one goalkeeper, Bart Verbruggen. They didn't have to rotate. For instance, we rotated, so we've got 2 sets of percentile data there. So hence why that percentile is fairly at a good level. And again, it goes back to if they sell him, that's another quality player they've got to replace. I think they're going to have Carl Rushworth. Remember, we were linked to him a little while ago.
Oh, Coventry.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be coming in there as well. Then we look at the centre backs, and really they've only got 2 centre backs that have played 1,000 minutes and more, and that is Paul Van Heck, who they've sold, and Lewis Dunk, who's 34 years old. But between them, they're very, very good. They're pushing towards competitive. They're pushing towards Champions League level. Obviously, they're not there, but together as a unit and what they can provide, is a lot of quality. So that's where I think has been, and having them fit and available for most of the season has been really good, and it's their strongest part of the team so far. But it's also the one that lacks as much depth as the goalkeeper one.
Yeah.
Then you got
That's
the fullback.
crazy to only have two centre backs in that bracket.
Yeah,
especially now they sold one. That's almost as mind blowing as what looking at Paul Van Heck's transfers. It's like it's freakishly lucky though, isn't it? That none of them got injured and they had to play someone else there who I don't know who the third choice would be, but it just feels like a little bit freakishly lucky. Or maybe I'm just too used to being a Newcastle fan that we just.
Well, that's I was gonna say. I was gonna say to you, can you imagine us having only two centre backs available? We know what's happening in the next game.
Yeah,
someone's
100%.
pulling a hamstring.
Yeah.
Someone's pulling a hamstring.
Yeah. And then as soon as one comes back, the next one gets injured, and it's just a conveyor. It's just a what do you call it? Carousel. Like it's just round and round and round in circles,
exactly.
one in, one out.
Exactly. For their fullback area, to me, is not necessarily their strongest position in terms of quality, but it's got quality and depth. So they got 4 fullbacks, like players that play 1,000 minutes or more. Ferdy, Maxime de Coupier, Mats Weefer, who actually is a defensive midfielder, curiously, but he's been playing. I say that, then Mighty played fullback quite a bit.
A little bit of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy, isn't he, Mats Weefer?
Exactly. And then Joel Veltman as well, who's aging again. I mentioned the age because there are quite old players in key positions for them. And I'm thinking about Europe for them. But they've got 4 players there, 54 percentile. Central midfield, interesting one, is at 53rd percentile. Now, we know that Carlos Baliba, who has been highly linked with a lot of teams, not recently though, had a dip in form this season, but he's in there. Yasin Ayari, Jack Hinshalwood, and Pascal Grosch. They're in the 53rd percentile. Now, remember with Brighton, they tend to play with a double pivot. So, having 4 players there makes sense for them.
Yeah.
Having 4 midfielders for us is scary because we play with 3. But it works for them. Then you've got their wide forwards, and they've only got 3 that have played 1,000 minutes or more. I think they bought a young forward. I forgot his name, but he got injured. But between Yankuba Minte, Mitoma, and Diego Gomez, it reaches up to the 65th percentile, that's the one that surprised. It surprised me. It didn't surprise me. So they got elite dribblers, chance creators, and crossing and progression, high ceiling of productivity between Mitoma and Minte especially. They provide a lot of quality in those areas. But when I initially saw it, it's quite surprising. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, I think I would probably argue that's their strongest position. I know the centre backs are a 1 percentile higher, but it's the wide guys you've got to keep quiet for Brighton, because you let them get in and around the area and then let the number 10s come in and pick up space. You're in trouble, because both of them guys can be exceptional on their day. Like Mitoma and Minte can be outrageously good on their day.
That's true, and we've seen that firsthand, to be fair. I'm going to go to Warbadrog in a moment because I think he's accepted my offer.
I think he has,
That'd be brilliant. And finally, the striker area, their weakest one. Danny Welbeck, who's 34 years old, actually scored 13 goals this season, which is interesting. And Jorginho Ruta. So it's the weakest unit on the squad in terms of chance creation, link-up play, or I can't say that word, decent or something like that. But decent goal output and finishing metrics are below Premier League average. They've got to replace Welbeck, or at least find. I think they got a young player again. The poor Greek boy from
Dantalos, I think his name is.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But he got injured, so we have yet to see him. So they've got some players to come back, like Gruda and others, but I think they're going to sell them as well. But that's their worst part of the pitch. of the team so far. So that's the part that maybe surprised me a little bit about them. But overall, 7 percentile. Before I go to the chat, Mitch, what's your kind of overall thoughts on what you're seeing with Brighton? And we're probably between ourselves seen a handful of Brighton games so far this season, usually against us, usually battering us, unfortunately.
Yeah, they always seem to be really good against us. I don't know why. We've got some of the weird bogey teams in the league, man. It's just mad. It's just silly, some of the bogey teams we've got. It makes no sense. But if you ask me to put numbers on where all of these positions would be, I think I'd come out in a similar spot for most of them, to be honest. I think the centre-backs are slightly higher than I would have expected, and the centre midfielders are slightly lower than I would have expected. But everything else is sort of where I'd expect it. Not going to lie, like the wingers are good. Danny Welbeck's a very good striker, but it is just Danny Welbeck, and he's very hit and miss, and he'll have off games, which brings his percentile down. And then you're adding Giorgio Ruta into next to him, who's kind of a 10-ish kind of player, so he's going to bring the metrics of a striker down alongside that. So yeah, there's not really anything there that shocks me, not massively anyway. I think the midfield, if I would say the one that's furthest out of where I'd expect it to be, is centre midfield.
Good. Well, that's good to hear, actually. And I think even the percentile is high for the centre backs, but it's fragile at the moment. One of them falls. Well, they've already sold one of them, so what's going to happen now? As well, Jog, I'm glad that you've accepted my offer. I can't remember if you got an X account. Let me know if you got an X account, and I will DM you and see when we can arrange for. Because usually I do the Rivals shows on Tuesday. They're not the Rival shows. The From a Rivals Lens shows on Tuesday. So I'm going to track you down and get you on, and hopefully Mitch will be available. We can sit down and talk about Arsenal and get your expert analysis. Jog says, I know it sounds hilarious, but I genuinely think we will have major fitness issues next season. Rice, Saka, or Odegaard, if he stays. Saliba, Gabriel are playing with injuries. Timber, White, Calafury are actually out and out. You might be getting the jitters because now you have to defend the title, and you don't want Liverpool's title of the worst champions, defending champions. You don't want that. Nobody wants that.
It's a completely different, unique take, though, isn't it? Once you've won it, it's like, now how do we improve this? Where do we go from here to improve this? Because if you don't improve it, someone will definitely get a little bit closer, and you risk losing.
100%. 100%. Jog says the EPL actually has to expand the bench. Oh, now you want them to do. Now that you've won, we've all got to change our world for you, Jog. EPL average physicality level versus other leagues is hilarious. I mean, number of full sprints, yeah, that is crazy. Length of those sprints, etc. EPL actually employs athletes and freaks. I absolutely agree with that. Jog says, and that's why teams with a shallow squad depth get exposed immediately when they go to Champions League, i.e. Newcastle United. And I fear it's lucky that Brighton are playing in the Conference League. That might save them. So I put the minutes together with the quality, and I'll direct you straight down where essentially it talks about depth squad depth score breakdown. And what it says is that, so quality score of the 57 percentile we talked about last time, with the depth score, which is the players that have been available in terms of minutes, is even higher because there's been a lot of availability. If you think about Dunk, if you think about Heck, and also, for instance, the fullbacks. So it's all averaged out to, from 57 to 62 to 57 to 67. It averages out to 62 percentile, which puts them into a very good competitive Premier League level, which I think has led them to be afloat. I don't know if that makes sense. You look confused there, Mitch.
No. I was just reading the small print under there. I was reading the small print under that little bit, and I was wondering, why is it firing shots at Danny Welbeck?
Oh, what's it say? What's that?
It
The
says
Brighton's
Brighton's depth is stronger than their raw quality. The squad has excellent balance, multiple players in their prime, and very few major weak links outside striker. It's just like it's a very good review, and then it's just shots fired at Welbeck.
He scored like 13, 14 goals for them as well, which is crazy. But yeah, so I think this is fairly accurate, though for me it feels fragile.
Yes.
This feels fragile. 16 players that play 1,000 minutes and more, that's crazy. And if you're thinking about Europe, you're going to need to fill it out. You've already sold one of your best players for sure. And there was something I was going to say, but I think now that I thought about it, the saving grace might be that they're playing the Conference League, and you literally can win the Conference League with your second best team. And we've seen Palace do that, even though their league position suffered. I don't know if Brighton will mind that though.
But you actually have to have a second team.
A second team, right?
Brighton have barely got a second team right now, and I think that's their biggest problem. Now we're talking about how fragile their squad is. If you looked at the Newcastle squad, most Newcastle fans would say our squad's pretty fragile, and our squad looks inflated compared to what we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
It's just
we've actually got four centre backs. We've got four centre backs. So.
It's crazy. It's crazy when you look at how we look at our squad, then you look at Brighton's, and they've done better than us in the league this season. So football's a strange game, man. It's such a strange game.
It is. It is. I absolutely agree. Wilbur says, I don't mind going another 20 years. No, don't say that, Wilbur.
Oh, wow.
Delete that comment. Delete that comment, Wilbur. Don't do that to yourself. I'm going to say that somebody took over Wilbur account and did this. So I don't mind going another 20 years. I'm not stressed. Just need that one with me, with the big ears. Anyhow, I'll win that before you. That'll be so funny.
Mate.
Don't let it be you.
That's the dream. That is the dream right there, Philip. That is the dream.
I'll be like, every show, I'll be like, must address me as Sir Philip.
Yeah. I'd be ultra shame. I'd be ultra. I'm not even a shameless person, but some of the shamelessness we have to come up against, it's impossible not to go there for at least a short spell of time.
Got here, I think someone with my namesake. Phil F says Guillaume Restes available, the goalkeeper for 20 million euros from Toulouse. I hope we signed the right French under 20 keeper. I think we have. To be honest, I've seen Restes once, maybe twice, mainly because I was looking for Matali, because Matali also plays for, Diane Matali, I can't remember if he's left back or right back or plays both for Toulouse. I'm not going to say Restas didn't impress me, but he doesn't look, maybe, I don't know if you probably know his height, but he looks small to me. I don't know if it's the TV or something, but, maybe because I'm used to like Eddie Howe thinking, I'm like, if this guy's not 6'6" or something, I'm not getting up to pay any money for him. So, but I'm sure he's good. Probably someone to look forward to, actually. All right, so essentially a 57 to 62 percentile squad, though small, at least 16 players small, and now to 15 players that with the Paul Van Heck, but they've done well to get to 8th position as well. And you touched on this before in terms of spending. We're talking about Paul Van Heck. I didn't do this. Again, I'm getting, the more I do this, the better. I feel like I'm getting better at it. But I looked back at what Brighton did the last time they went to Europe. They finished 6th in the 22-23 season, and they. I think they had 62 points that season as well. So this is the season they actually So before they started the season, so this is Brighton finished sixth. At this season, before the start of the season, look at to the right who they sold: Marco Correa, Basuma, Trossard, Mope. And for any of the folks that ever take a look at this, this is customary for Brighton to sell this level of quality of players. So that's what makes me think that Mr. Van Heck is not going to be the last of the real high quality players they have in terms of selling. Now, to the left are the players they brought in that led them to the sixth position. Estepinian, who's been, quality level of quality for them, and Ciso, Billy Gilmore, who now plays in Napoli, Adingra, Buonanotte, Ayari, and Levi Colwell. Now, I mentioned Levi Colwell because it was my centre backs. I noticed that in every time they've got into Europe, they had a good defensive structure, and Levi Colwell was the Van Heck before the Van Heck was was with Brighton.
Yeah.
And obviously we know his quality at them as well. So, but that's the team that led them to sixth.
They need to do that again, though. So they're in this exact same position. So where their squad's thin, if they sell two more of their key starters, that means they need 6 players just to replace them players they've just sold. And that's exactly what they've done this window. So Cucurella, you've got Estupiñán, which is a direct replacement, and then Colwell, which is a defender. And then Yves Bissouma, you've got Billy Gilmore and Ayari, direct replacements. Trossard, you've got Enciso and Adingra and Buonanotte. They're all direct replacements for what he brought in. My own, I don't want to be down on Brighton because the way they do things is fantastic. But this game plan seems like it has a life cycle. How long that life cycle is, I don't know. Because someone who is a slightly bigger club, say maybe a Tottenham, are going to go, actually, no, we're not going to buy one of your big names. We're going to wait for someone else to buy them. And then we're just going to go for whoever you're going for. That's going to be our game plan because it works for you. So why would it work for us?
In fact, I think we're experiencing that with Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. Liverpool just haven't got a scouting team anymore. It's just who are Newcastle interested in? We'll have him. You do all the legwork, agree the deal, we'll pay a little bit more money.
We are the scouting team. Well, you mentioned in terms of life cycle, the following season they finished sixth, right? And this is what they finished 11th.
Cheers.
So after they finished sixth, they finished 11th, and this is the business they've done. If you look at the departures, Moises Caicedo, Alexis McAllister, Robert Sanchez. Not to mention, remember their whole scouting team went to Chelsea. A manager and Graham Potter went to Chelsea. I can't remember if this season, but they finished 11th, and they were in Europe on top of that. So that's the how do I say, and the flaw in this model.
Yeah.
But on the other side, who do they bring in? Pedro, João Pedro, everybody knows him. Carlos Baliba, everybody knows him now. Bart Verbruggen, people know him, right? But the thing is, and Yasin Ayari went on loan actually that season, but these names are household names now. But remember, this is 24-25 season. It's taken another 2 years for them to get into Europe. That's the cycle that I'm noticing at the moment for them. The only difference this season, that's why I keep mentioning the Conference League, is that because if you win the Conference League, you go to Europa League anyway. So you can still finish 11th and go back to Europe. And that might be another avenue, another path for them. That might sort of break a mold for them. I don't know. What do you reckon?
Could do. It's definitely an avenue, because that Conference League, if you look at the teams that tend to go into it, although saying that, I think it might have been the show that we did after the last week of the season on Where the Owls Sleep. I'm pretty sure there's 4 or 5 very good teams in it next season. I might be wrong, but I'm sure I remember going through it and someone was like, whoever qualifies for it from the Premier League will win it. And I had a look and there was 4 or 5 decent-ish sides going into it.
No, that probably makes sense, actually. That probably makes sense. Before I go to the chat, I was also I'm going to have a quick look as well. I'm going to look at 25-20, the season following this as well. But what I also wanted to add to this, Mitch, when we're talking about successful model, how many players they bring here, right? For instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, that was a loan out. Then they've got a couple of academy players and loans out. So about 17 players. So out of the 17 they've brought in, this includes Ansu Fati from Barcelona, but that was a loan. I'll say 16 then. I can only really say, in terms of first team players, 3 of those players were successes.
Yep. And this is where it's already changed from the last image. Whereas we went through 7. They let 3 big names go, and then there was 7 that they brought in that you would say are now very good names in the Premier League. This time, they've let 3 go, they've brought in 3. And it's like the life cycle. Can they keep doing it? Can they keep regurgitating enough players to strengthen as a squad, keep bringing the money in because they've sold 2 or 3, and keep exactly where they are? Because it just feels like a very hard model to maintain over long periods of time.
Honestly, and before this season, I know they finished 8th this season. And by the way, the season they finished 6th, they got 62 points. This season, before I show this next one, they're going into Europe, but this season, how many points did they finish on? Premier League, 53 points. So it's already, in our view anyway, a fairly fragile squad. They scraped into Europe, right? They're likely to have another turnover, right? And this is what they did before the start of this season. I'm going to go to the chat in a moment. I mean, for instance, can you see it clearly, Mitch?
Yeah, got that.
So if you look to the right, the players they let go, João Pedro. Now look, by the way, they made tons of money, by the way. 145 million. Are you kidding me? But by the way, we made that off like one player.
Yeah,
but anyway. there's levels to this. I'm joking. So anyway, João Pedro, Adingra, Estepunian, who was there, good for them, Barco, and Ciso. Tarek Lamptey, I didn't even know they saw Tarek Lamptey. Is at Fiorentina, and Evan Ferguson. To be fair, and Buonanotte to Chelsea. Matt O'Reilly. To be fair, Mitch, in terms of the departures, I think the only real miss is probably João Pedro.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
right.
Depth-wise, you'd probably quite like to keep Adingra and Estupiñán as well. Even in Ciso, really, when you think about it. But that's more depth than anything else. You
would, absolutely. But that's also maybe a sign of, you remember you're saying what's the life cycle of this model?
Yeah.
If we've just seen previous seasons where they're sending 3-4 quality players that made tons of money, but really now they've got one player that's really made, or maybe 2 if you talk about Adingra, right? So it's dangerous now in terms of like it's not something, here your team's bought 15 players, you're happy, the adrenaline rush, but the quality is. It could be said that the quality is lacking, and they've obviously brought in a ton of players. We haven't seen Costasulos really this year gone because he's been injured. Croupier was loaned out. Watson was injured. Grosch is a return from Dortmund. They were like, oh, no, thank you anymore. They took him back.
Yeah.
And the other names have yet to kind of really establish themselves. I don't know. They've already started this season. They've got Mr. Zadok Johanna, who we kind of made inquiries.
Yeah.
We made inquiries about him. But they've already started big. Van Heck is sold.
Released
I don't know.
Mark Bredstar, Veltman. Veltman's a surprise that they seem to have just released. I thought he was decent.
I'm thinking age, and they're making space.
Maybe. Do you know what's interesting? If you scroll down to last season's departures, the interesting thing on here, this one. So you've got returning to Brighton this summer, Evan Ferguson, Buonanotte, Matt O'Reilly. All three of those could
that's true.
Be part of the squad now. Like logically could be part of the squad as well.
That's true. I didn't think of that. That's true. That's true. Just like Van Heck was, because Van Heck was on loan and then came back and did his thing.
Yeah, so as much as it's not someone they've purchased in, it's someone just to add back into the group that could do well.
You're right. I didn't think of that. Where's my... Here we go. So, all right, so let me see what the folks in the chat are saying. Where is it? Phil says, best keeper, I think this is Restes in the league, is Raya. He's barely 6 foot. Restes is 6'2". No, I hear what you're saying. Now, I'm not saying that you're a bad keeper if you're short. I'm just saying that when it comes to Newcastle, if you're a short keeper, we're not going to buy you. that's not like a cast iron. That's a cast iron thing. Robotruck says, Mitch, question for you. Brighton, hands down, have the best data department in the league. I wouldn't worry about them in conference. They'll sign some no-names and move to CFC the season after for 100 million. No one's surprised. True. But if you're asking... sorry, the question for Mitch. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. They've by far got the best data department in the league, and it's their owner that created it in the first place. So I get all of that, but how long do you keep regurgitating the data without someone just cutting in on and the food chain in you, as people have been saying recently? Like it gets to a point where clubs get bored of spending £60 million on the players that Brighton bought 2 years ago and think, actually, we'll just sign the player that Brighton's going to get to replace the guy that we want to buy off and work it that way. And that's the life cycle thing. The data will never go out of date. The data will never fail. The data is what it is, so it will always work to a certain extent. It's just when teams cotton onto it and actually start doing what teams have done to us recently.
But do you think, so for instance, if we look at, do you think though the bigger clubs have time for that? So for instance, if we look at Van Heck, he'd been loaned out, he'd been, numerous times. Clubs don't have the time to always, they do it, but not to the level that Brighton do. Like Brighton, this is their model. It's not about selling club. When you're kind of saying, why don't the clubs just skip the food chain and just buy what the player that Brighton are going to do? And then why they don't do it is because they don't want to spend time developing that player. And there's a pressure, like obviously Warburton's talking about Arsenal. Warburton doesn't want to see some, or he might do, not Warburton personally, but Arsenal don't have a time to, necessarily buy a player, an unknown player from Bolivia, and kind of, phase him into the squad in the now. They have to compete now. So hence why they don't do it. But Brighton, I think that's the selling point. For instance, Zadok, for instance, went to Brighton after City and Newcastle were interested in him. But the main thing he wanted was minutes, which is not something that we could guarantee. But Brighton said, you start for us. Like straight up, you start for us.
Yeah, but then clubs like, say, an us, a Villa, a Tottenham, we're kind of in that no man's land that we're not going to get the ready-made guys now. So we need to sort of get a little bit of a balance and pick off maybe one of them ready-made guys, but we need a couple of the guys that are next up. Maybe we don't go to Bolivia for them, but some of the guys that are a little bit more well-known that Brighton siphon up, we should be picking up them guys instead of them getting them.
That's why this window is going to be so interesting, because I think we're going to get a mixture of those type of players.
I've just pulled up the Conference League teams, yeah? So this season, we're going to have Atlanta, Freiburg, Getafe, Monaco, and Ajax.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Monaco and you mentioned something.
Maybe not so much
Atlanta.
Getafe, but Atlanta, Freiburg, Monaco, and Ajax.
Crazy.
So it's a much stronger conference league than I think we've seen since they created it.
It is. Fair play. Fair play. Ian McKenna says, what have Brighton won? Nothing, but they might win the... We said that about Palace, and they've won more trophies than us recently. We have to keep quiet whenever we see a Palace fan. James says, Valentin Barco, we should sign. I need to review him a little bit, but could be. I trust your take, James. Wobblejock says, I disagree. They can maintain that model no matter how many times CFC keep raiding. That's true. They have done that. Their data department guys, it's his side consultancy company that works with Brighton. I think it's called Jamestown Analytics. Interesting name, Jamestown. That's I remember like movies around that. That's like some violent, crazy town and stuff. And I wonder why he called it that.
Valentin Barco. He's at Brighton as well.
I thought it was at Strasbourg. Chelsea and Brighton got some mad like relationship. Like,
oh no, he's moved. He's gone to Strasbourg last summer.
Right.
End of loan, and they signed him. Yeah, they loaned him out to Strasbourg. He came back, and then Strasbourg bought him.
Right. Okay. So, heading into the last part, we did the finances, we've done the minutes, we've done the quality. So, what do Brighton need? I kind of did my thoughts on it, but I'll be keen to get yours, Mitch, and the chat as well. I think they need a lot of filling out. But if you're talking about like priorities and position by position, I've got, what's the easiest one to show? Let me go. Position, I think a defensive midfielder to replace Belieber, because I think Belieber's likely to go. But if he doesn't, he stays, obviously. Centre back for Van Heck, a goalkeeper for Verbrugge, though Carl Rushworth could be that keeper as well. Centre backs, they need additional depth, I think at least 2 or 3. Wide forward, because I'm assuming somebody's going to go in for Minte. I'm surprised there's no transfer business around him yet. Striker, long term to support Welbeck, though that could be the Greek guy. Keep calling him the Greek guy, I can't remember his name. And a wide forward as well to support in rotation upside. So I've got 1 goalkeeper, 2 CBs, 1 DM, 2 wingers, and 1 striker. And initially, people might think that's a lot, but then we just looked at their transfer business and we're like, that's like another Tuesday for them. But I am assuming a lot here. I am assuming that Verbrugge and Belieber, Minte on top of Van Heck will go, which is part of it. But what's your take? What do you think Brighton need? Do you want me to go back to the squad?
No, I pretty much agree. They need to do a lot of work, and you're pretty much bang on. They need their first choice goalie now. Verbruggen's gone, unless they're going to use Rushworth as their first choice goalie. But I think that's a bit of a risk. They've just lost a centre back. They only had 2 last season. I think they actually might need 3. So 2 that are pretty much ready to play now, and 1 that's young that can play a few minutes here and there. DM, agree. Wingers, yes, and striker. And I actually think on the striker wise, they need someone above Welbeck. They need to put Welbeck more into, he's going to play Conference League games. He's going to rotate in the Premier League. But this is now our main guy to play up front in the Premier League.
I agree. Someone said, James said, who's going in for Minte? I've seen Liverpool. I've seen a recent connection to Tottenham, but I wouldn't be surprised. Liverpool are looking for a right-sided player, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's Liverpool.
Haiti have just gone 1-0 up against Morocco, by the way.
Crazy. So if Verbrugge and Belieber, Minte leave, Brighton's biggest issue is not goals. It's actually replacing Belieber, your centre-back, in Van Heck, and find an elite keeper, which, like Mitch said, is Carl Rushworth that guy. The forward line can be rebuilt, but losing Belieber, Verbrugge, and Van Heck removes the spine of the team. And that's where Brighton's recruitment department would likely focus. So when it comes to the question of can they repeat it again, finishing Europe again, top 8 position. What's your kind of verdict on that?
I think they can, but it's the biggest task that they've had. I feel like it's worked for them for so long at the level that they've been, like we spoke about earlier, the bottom end of the European conversation. Are they just going to be happy to be there again while they're in the Conference League, or do they want to step up? And they've got a lot more work to do from this point, I feel, this time. And the other thing that they're going to have to compete with is a couple of the so-called bigger teams in the league are going to be coming in the Premier League like juggernauts next season. Like your Chelsea's, Newcastle, Tottenham, one game a week, they're just going to be flying at the league to get as high up as possible. So for them to maintain that, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult.
I agree. They got 52 points this season. Where do you see them? I know it's too early.
They could probably repeat that, but I think if they repeat it, it finishes them 2 or 3 places lower.
Lower than what it was. Makes sense. That makes sense.
I don't think it takes a big points drop off. I think it could only be 1 or 2 points difference, and they could drop to bottom of the top half or top of the bottom half, just because the teams that didn't have a great season that normally do will just end up above them because they've just got more points over the season.
Right. Wobblejog says, Phil, I genuinely want to switch clubs now. You're saying some crazy stuff today, Wobblejog. Yeah. I refuse to believe this, Wobblejog. I want something like a Brighton, my spiritual club. Just enjoy the football, no expectation, pressures, and no relegation jeopardy. Hashtag anti-trophy hunter.
Hey, Wobblejog's going to move to Santander and just live on mananas, bro. Fiestas and mananas. He's won the Premier League. He doesn't care no more. Life is good.
Life is good, man. James says, Minte, we put a 45% sell-on clause. If that's true, that'd be amazing. But I haven't heard that.
That doesn't sound like very Newcastle business. I'm not gonna lie. We are rubbish at stuff like that. So if we've done that, that's outrageous.
We were over a barrel when we sold Minte and Elliot Anderson.
Yes.
I'll be surprised if we make any kind of demand. I'm surprised we got them sold for 30+ million, considering what we were facing.
If we put 45 in Mintes and nothing in Anderson's, that's just mad. Like the deals happened weeks apart. That can't.
Remember the Anderson one was weird because we took Vallecamos back. We did some it was just a crazy deal.
Yeah, it was. But at the time, if anybody said we're going to sell Anderson for 35 mil, pretty much every Newcastle fan would have gone, okay.
Oh, James is corrected. He said we didn't, but Brighton did. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. If Brighton put 45% sell-on clause on him, that makes better sense. Wobblejog says, I'm almost envious of the Brighton fans. They must just enjoy the games for the love of the game, nothing else. But who's to say they don't want more? Who's to say that there isn't a Brighton fan sitting there thinking, goodness gracious, we've got a chance to win a European trophy, but are we going to keep some of these players? I don't know.
How long have they been back? Brighton have been back for what? Same time as us. They came.
Same time as us. Same time as us.
So what's that? That's got to be 8 now. 8 years.
Yeah.
Surely they're thinking, right? We've now consolidated. Let's go. Let's go again. Let's make sure we're not going to get relegated. Let's see if we can actually get a little bit higher up in the league and push us into the next bracket.
And I think that's only natural to think like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, as well. Yeah, man. So what's interesting, and you might not be aware of this, Mitch. I said that I've covered Brighton now, Villa, Man United, and Tottenham, and I wanted to review where the percentiles were for all of these teams that we did overall percentiles. And Brighton actually topped them.
That is mad.
It's
like
crazy.
Tottenham being at the bottom of it doesn't surprise me. They've been awful for 2 3/4 seasons now. Since that first 10 games under Ange, they've been awful. So that doesn't surprise me. But the rest of them are a little, like Villa and Man United, are a little bit surprising that they've come in below Brighton.
Where I think, especially for Villa, I think because Villa used more of their squad, and they've rotated a lot more. They used a lot more of their depth. So Villa didn't have the luxury of using the same centre backs for every game.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, the data MB measures the quality of the squad in the Premier League.
Okay.
So if Villa are rotating, and especially Tottenham, the quality of performances, especially together with Europe, is going to go a little bit lower.
Yeah.
As well.
But then
So,
2 of these teams finished in the Champions League position. So it still confuses me slightly. They must have played relatively
Man United
well.
and
Villa.
Well, Villa were outstanding, and we talked about that in terms of they had X factor players, in particular Rodgers and Watkins.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
And
Man United had a long time of the season under Amorim as well, I suppose.
And they had Bruno, Mbeumo, Šeško, and Cunha, but especially Bruno Fernandes. That was their X factor. What we noticed is that the teams that really got there had those X factor players.
Yeah. To be fair, if you pick these 4 teams at random and got these percentiles as close as they are, that's excellent work. They've all come in that same kind of bracket as if it was a deliberate move.
But honestly, it got me thinking, like, I'm still letting it marinate, to be honest. I'm still letting it marinate what this means. I kind of got the takeaway. I kind of got, because I'm still letting it marinate. And I was like I was talking to like kind of getting AI to kind of, what's like, what we've gone this far. What does this all mean essentially? And he was saying, like, despite the very different league finishes and spending levels, all 4 clubs fall within a relatively narrow band of 50 to 57 percentile. The difference comes from where that quality lies. So Brighton's has the best balanced squad, strongest recruitment model, excellent defensive spine and weight and players, but a weaker striker output. Sheesh. Welbeck's getting more shots.
Oh, no, it's just firing shots at Welbeck.
I think what I would add to the Brighton one is they rotated far less than the other teams. They had less injuries. They played less games, and they were able to play their best 11 more frequently in the Premier League. I think that's the big difference. Villa, high end 11 with less depth, particularly after European commitments. Unai Emery did really well. And remember, they had that thing where they were scoring goals like outside the box consistently as well.
Yeah.
And if you had the likes of, Morgan Rogers played, I think, 4,500 minutes.
That's a crazy amount. He played 4,500 minutes.
Yeah.
That's 50 games of football.
Yeah.
50 full games of football he played in one season.
Yeah. They rinsed him. They absolutely rinsed him.
He must have only missed about 4 or 5 games.
He didn't miss them. Like, he just got substituted early but he was available.
That's crazy.
So that's the length they had to go to get it over the line for Villa. Man United had individual quality, remains high, but imbalanced squad construction reduces their overall level. So, yes, they got Fernandes, but everybody else there's in their forward line is pretty good. I can't remember all the while where everybody is in terms of percentile, but I remember the overriding elite output comes from Fernandes, but their midfield overall isn't of the same combined quality as him. So he just stands out. He literally pulled that team together. And Tottenham, again, for me, better squad than their league finish suggested. I think injuries really, really, really destroyed them. But it shows you this.
This is mad because all season, well, not all season, since Carrick came in, I've been biting my tongue about Man United because I still don't rate them. But they were just winning game after game after game. And this kind of reflects what I thought I was seeing. It's just I was convinced myself that I was seeing wrong because they just kept winning games. But this kind of makes sense that they've just got a few outstanding players that do win them games, whereas really as a team, they're not that great.
I personally agree. I personally agree. I think what Carrick done, which is a smart thing to do, which is put Bruno in his correct position, sometimes even supporting striker level.
Yeah.
They have an opportunity to rectify it. It's going to be a big, big challenge for them this league. But it's the small things. It really is the small things. And I was saying, like, when we're gonna eventually do Newcastle, but as I say, the three. I know that we're going to probably get more than players of this, but the key positions I'm looking forward this season is goalkeeper, midfield, and forward. Like the striker, literally a striker.
Okay.
Literally the spine of the team itself, because I think we're going to play more of a double pivot. So I think we're going to get a different type of player to Tonali. I think we're going to get more of a 6 type, like a Kamara, who can play an 8, rather than a Tonali, who's more of an 8, but can play a 6, but not very well.
Yeah. We need a like a proper ball progressing 6 for me. Stop Bruno coming so deep. Keep him slightly higher. I know it's going to be a double pivot, but keep him slightly higher than he has been playing at times.
Exactly. And if you think about it, Isak was the X factor for us for for those 2 years, right? Like he was the X factor for us. Our big chances missed went up by about 10% when he left. So he was the difference between a loss to a draw to a win. Like Morgan Rogers is for Villa.
Yeah.
Like Bruno Fernandes is for Man United. So that's why all of these kind of things, they're going to play a big part in terms of, who goes where going forward, in my opinion anyway. So, yeah, man. So what's your kind of overall take on Brighton? And what, I'm going to review them. I'm going to review the teams after the transfer window. What are you expecting to see from them when we talk about them a couple of months from now?
What I expect to see is high volume of players coming in. They're a very well-run club. Their data analysis is fantastic, but they have a very thin squad. And I feel that if they want to stay still in the Premier League and fight in the same area they've been fighting, they need, I think it was 7 or 8 players that we just said a minute ago. That's what they need as a minimum for me, because I think it will become a bit of an overload, as we have seen, like someone said in the chat earlier about us having freak athletes in the Premier League just run and run and run and run and run. It's not a game anymore that you can go, right, same again, 2 games a week for that long period of time. You have to have a deeper squad. It's just part of the modern game now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think they are likely to do what they did in the previous season. You're going to see X amount of players leave, 10 players leave, 10 players come in, probably 1 to 3 who end up becoming gems, but not necessarily this season, but the following season. I think Mitch made a good point that the fact that the likes of O'Reilly and others are coming back is...
Yeah, to be fair, you can just add those 3 into the squad. We said 7, maybe 8. They might only need 5 if Hürzeler looks at it and thinks, right, you 3 are just coming back in, you're straight in the squad. We now need to work around getting the other 5 in and then replace whoever leaves.
Right. Exactly. So let's see. I'm not going to give my prediction in terms of where they're going to finish. I'm going to wait till the transfer window finishes. But I think how all of this is shaping up is really, really interesting. Right. So final, before the end, we finish the show, I'm thinking about what player we can do a scouting profile on. Now, I've got a midfielder in the shape of Lucas Bergvall to look at. But I know that I asked you this earlier, and you were right. There isn't too many links to any players, which is good, if some would say. But before I go on with Lucas, and I don't know what the chat thinks as well, Mitch, how you feel about looking at that one, or is there someone that we can kind of freestyle on at the moment and look at in terms of...
No, You've got Bergvall. He's one that I've seen loose links with, and he's about to leave Tottenham. Tottenham seem to rate him quite highly. I feel like maybe he could be functional in our old system. If we're playing a double pivot, maybe not, but in the previous system, yes.
Well, let's go with that because a lot of the players I've been scouting and looking at. I've been asking how they fit in the 4-2-3-1, and a lot of them have been working very, very well, better for the 4-2-3-1 than they do for the 4-3-3. So I've got an ongoing prediction in my head, Mitch, that I think we're going to evolve a lot more into 4-2-3-1. So I am going for a bit of a confirmation bias. I have to fight against it, but we'll see.
No, I fully agree, and I think we saw it for 4 of the last 5 games or whatever.
West Ham sticks out. West Ham game sticks out a lot. Now it's interesting on Bergvall, just to add that yes, Newcastle have been linked. Initially, I just thought I would be linked because obviously he said he wants to go, but and the fact that they're interested in Tonali, people are just making the lazy link type of it, but it is there. I think Forest are leading the race because obviously Elliot Anderson is going, so I think that's interesting to kind of keep an eye on. But let's have a look at him and say, let's kind of ask this question at the beginning, Mitch, is, are Newcastle missing the trick with this? So, Mr. Bergvall, a lot of scout reports on him, to be honest. So the people are quite interested in him. I am intrigued that his height is 6'2". I know he's tall. I didn't realize he was that tall. But Mr. Lucas Eric Holger Bergvall, 20 years old, Swedish midfielder, class as a box-to-box midfielder. We've got a few of those. Other positions include central pivot and attacking midfielder. Obviously playing for Tottenham, but would definitely like to leave Tottenham. He's seen the writing on the wall of the likes of potentially Mateus Fernandes and Tonali coming in. So I got big up to the analysts, being Total Football Analysis, Breaking the Lines, Scouted Football, and Scouting App, who provided the analysis from a timeline of 2023 to 2026, so from when he was 17 to 20 years old. So the first phase, which was in 2023, the rise of the Sweden's elite interior. And feel free to interrupt me at any point, Mitch and others as well. So emerging from the prestigious, I can't pronounce the name, but it's a Swedish club, Pipeline, Bergvall quickly established himself as a generational Swedish talent, moving to, again, I can't pronounce the name, Djurgården IF for a near record fee. He became the only 2006-born player to constantly start and score in the top flight, logging nearly 10 times the minutes of any peer his age. So tactical. So he's one of those players that those, what do you call those like early stage geniuses. Tactical analysts lauded his Frankie De Jong-like capacity to effortlessly glide away from pressure. I just wonder if they call him that because he's tall and he's got blonde hair and he's white.
Yeah, I haven't seen any Frankie De Jong in Bergvall when I watched him at all.
Driving the ball through midfield and maturity that completely defied his youth. Now, moving on, he's moved to North London. So on the eve of his 18th birthday, Tottenham secured his signature for 8.5 million fee, which is not bad going. Fighting off intense, it's good business. Fighting off competition from Europe's absolute elite. Analysts flagged the move as a major scouting triumph, noting the data tracking highlighted a rare synchronization of soft elite technical skills with the extreme hard running and physical distance requirements demands of modern Premier League football, which is what yourself and Warbridge were saying, actually. So what they're kind of saying is that he's got the quality or the blend of both quality and the athleticism required for the Premier League, which is interesting. Interesting take from them. Phase 3. Premier League and senior international footing. Stepping directly into Tottenham's first team dynamics, Bergvall clocked 45 appearances across his debut English season. And remember the type of Tottenham team he's playing for. This is 17th place. All he's known is 17th place. He knows N17 and he knows 17th place. That's what he knows. Bergvall clocked 45 appearances across his debut English season. His development accelerated under Thomas Frank's high pressing. It's interesting. Pragmatic 4-3-3 tactical overhaul at Spurs. I know somebody else that plays 4-3-3. He translated the club form to the international stage, featuring heavily in Sweden's squad, often operating alongside midfield counterparts like Yasin Ayari, and demonstrating tactical flexibility, spanning deep build-up phases up through the creative final third and final third duty. So he sounds like he's been playing everywhere in terms of midfield profile.
Yeah, so to be fair, I probably don't watch enough of Tottenham to comment too much on him. He seems like if we were still going to play a 4-3-3, he would be good in the Joe Linton role. And that has always been my opinion of him every time I've watched him play. Maybe that's just because it's Tottenham and their midfield was pretty rubbish and he was just running here, there and everywhere trying to do his best.
True.
And he can play more controlled if the team has more control of the ball. Maybe that's the case.
True. Key scouting attributes: press resistance and deep escapes. He operates with superb composure under intense pressure. We're going to have to look at some highlights. His signature asset is a beautifully executed half turn. This is why they keep on comparing him to De Jong. Checking both shoulders before shifting his weight to effortlessly open up passing lanes. His elite progression and vision. He sits comfortably in the upper tier of European midfielders for ball progression, registering a high bracket of 2.29 progressive carries per 90. He favors a purposeful line-breaking passes into dangerous zones over safe sideways containment passes. I can see why Forest are looking at him as a replacement for Addison, though.
Yeah, agreed. It is sounding very similar.
Yeah. Premier League physical base, standing at a commanding 1.87 meters, so 6'2". He combines the close control agility of a smaller playmaker with a naturally imposing tall frame. He uses his body leverage exceptionally well to protect possession under heavy contact. Defensive skill and transitions. So far from just a luxury creator, Bergvall actively relishes ground duels, the grit of fighting for second balls, and defensive transitions. This is backed by an impressive 1.41 interceptions per 90. So defensive steal and transitions, Mitch. Pros and cons. So the pros are elite press resistance, two-footed line breaking, 2 foot is not bad, imposing physical unit, and a dual phase adaptability. Now, I have to say this in advance. If you look at his metrics, none of that shows. Only because, and I believe it to be, like you said, he played in a very weak Tottenham team where literally nobody has good metrics for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Cons: over-ambitious turnovers, which can happen with players his age. Box crashing volume needs to increase. Defensive discipline, prone to occasional rash tracking or lunging in tackles, and raw muscular frame, still developing peak upper body strength for long duels, which I wouldn't be surprised if he's developing over a period of time. I'll show you his. Well, I don't know what to show for him because it's difficult. Again, keeping in mind who he's played for and what's happened. It's not going to look impressive. Put it this way: his metrics, and we'll go to the chats in a moment as well. Bergvall. Warbodrug, make sure you contact me on X or show me your X account so I can DM you. Get you on the show. Where is it? There you go. Can you see that?
Yep.
That wasn't an enthusiastic yep. But
yeah, no, that doesn't look like a double pivot kind of guy to me.
his overall quality is the progressive carries. And if he's still got that for the team that he's got, that's a strength of his, right? Again, he's played for Tottenham for the last 2 years. So let me just put this up here. So this is Tottenham 2 years. This is last year.
That's a bit better.
Yeah, and this is him for, I think, the Swedish side at 17. This is he was 17 though.
Okay.
Full.
What's the one bottom just off the screen? The one that always seems to be the longest point of his. Oh,
carrying. That's his thing. Carrying for sure. I'm going to bring up Tottenham stats because that's important. Because if anybody looking at this will think, "Raw, he's mad, not good." Like, he's really not good. Can you see Tottenham?
Yep.
So this is Tottenham the last 2 years. They're not a very good side.
No.
In this year in particularly, by the way, they dropped their goal stats from last year from 76th percentile to 44th percentile this season. Their attacking dropped from 73 percentile to 42 percentile. Their possession dropped from 67 percentile to 50 percentile. Their counters dropped from 86 percentile to 16 percentile. Their defending, which is crazy, it went from 16 percentile to 55 percentile. This is bad. Their physicality went from 17 percentile to 52 percentile. But their pressing maintained-ish. So it went from 71 percentile to 79 percentile. So they've kept their pressing, but you can see from the green, they upped a little bit their physicality in the defending, but it's just horrible.
Yes. Yeah, that is exactly why they've been in 2 relegation battles. They're playing relatively well in a few parts of the game, rather than, and then they're playing horrendously bad in other parts. Yeah, no wonder.
Honestly, I'll get your overall take on Bergvall in a moment, Mitch. I'm going to just see what the chat is saying. Lots of folks talking here. I think I saw something from James. I don't want to miss it. But I think, yes. So James says, I prefer Yasmin Ayari from Brighton. I think I did this. What did I do? I did a graphic for him. So if news on him continues to increase, I might post it. Ian says, I know we can't, but would you swap Tonali for Anderson? How would, what, from Forest? Okay.
How would that work? That wouldn't quite work, would it? Would I? Yes. But no one else in that deal is happy because Anderson's going Man City and Tonali doesn't want to go Forest, I'm guessing. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Tonali definitely doesn't want to go Forest. The Robojog says Hinshalwood is such an overlooked player. I'm not saying Bergvall is bad, but Hinshalwood is probably a cheaper, more prem-proven. I don't know about cheaper because it's Brighton. Prem-proven, further developed, and beats Bergvall in every metric offensively and defensively. Let's have a quick look at that. I don't know if he's going to be cheaper though. That's my only thing because it is Brighton, and Brighton don't play about. You're not going to undersell. How do you spell Hinshalwood?
Oh my lord. Hayden just scored an absolute banger to go 2-1 up against Morocco.
Serious? Oh, goodness.
This is crazy.
World Cup is crazy. This is both from this season. Boy, this ain't looking good for none of them, Wobojog. This is... Hinshalwood is better in key passes this season, but I have to actually scout Hinshalwood. I have to actually look at his.
Wait, I think we're still looking at two Bergvalls though.
Oh, you can't
they
see
both
it.
say
Oh,
Tottenham.
sorry. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on. Share this tab instead.
There we go.
So Hinshalwood's in the purple. I have to say, and this is why it's important to read scouting reports and look at team systems. And I'm going to include the Ayari in this as well, that the way a team plays has a lot of bearing on how their stats come out. So even Ayari doesn't look over impressive on here either. With Bergvall, we know why. He's played for a very bad team. I don't know enough about Hinshalwood to comment. But Ayari, from what I've gathered from the scouting reports, he plays more in the half spaces and more like a conductor. So you're going to see like the likes of passing, key passes, fairly high for him, or at a good level, but you're not going to see some of the other metrics kind of bear out. So you can see his key passes there. But still, things to work on. But if you really scouting kind of reports, they all kind of laud his technical ability. He's either the pass before the pass, or he can be that kind of creator as well. But he does need some development still. So that's where they're at the moment. Love to know where you got your metrics from, Warbledrug. Maybe something for me to read, but I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I'll get to your thoughts in a moment, Mitch. Just get a couple more chats. Warbledrug's value for money for NUFC. Hinshalwood is a superior player. He will plug many holes during the season, especially when injuries hit, so heavier, higher level than Bergvall, in my opinion. I don't disagree with you. I need to read more. I need to know more about Hinshalwood before making a decision on him. Jog. James says player 60 million. The one that likes is only around 45 million. Oh, I think it's with somebody else. Hinshalwood is 65 million player. I hope not. But I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton say that. I'd just rather get Kamara.
Yeah, let's not pay 65 million for Hinshalwood.
McKenna, Ian says carrying is when you go mid lane solo and wreck the jeez. Warbledrug says, wow, that Bergvall radar is a definition of severe acute nutrition. Especially for playing for Tottenham. Warbledrug says, Phil, fair enough, man. They both have Ozempic radars. Warbledrug says, I used FOTMob for a quick check to see if my priors match. Okay, fair play. Yeah, man. So, Mitch, Bergvall, would you want him at Tyneside?
Not if we're progressing to more of a 4-2-3-1. No, I just don't think he fits. It seems like an odd fit for me from every game I've seen. Maybe someone's seen something different. I know it looks slightly different when he was in Sweden, but let's be real, the Swedish league isn't exactly great. So semi-decent players could probably look like whatever player they wanted to look at out there. So yeah, no, I'm not sold on him. It just feels like if we're going to play a double pivot, we need to bring in a proper DM that's going to sit, hold, and play progressive passes to play Bruno higher. And then our direct backup in that area or rotation in that area is Lewis Miley. So unless you're better than Lewis Miley, there's no point. And
yeah,
neither of them two guys are, unfortunately, for them.
Exactly. And I'm personally still dreaming of a Lewis Miley Kamara double pivot. Ooh. With Bruno in the AM in the AM role, rotating with the likes of Ramsey, who come off the left in the 4-2-3-1 and occasionally playing that attacking midfield role as well. So far
Like
more
it.
technical.
Like the look at that. Bruno clearly likes to look at that as well because he's just got an outrageous assist for Brazil.
Absolutely. Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez. Says draw now for Monaco and Haiti. No, Morocco and Haiti.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just gone 2-2.
We're missing some games. All right, so I'll probably have to make a pass on. I think if we maybe last year would have looked at a Bergvall, I think this year we're trying to really. I think we're making a tactical shift.
Yes.
I really think we're going to try to play this double pivot and going forward. Did you see the links that are back up for Keith Smith?
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, I have.
Where's it coming from?
I'm guessing maybe it's gone quiet from all other clubs, and his agent wants to start drumming up some noise again.
Okay. Because that would Barcelona, be Real Madrid, and all that. You were saying Barcelona, Real Madrid, 50 million. We're like, no, we'll give you 20. Be quiet.
Or I like a weird conspiracy theory.
Let's do it.
Newcastle are running this long game in the transfer window of we know who we're going to let go, we know who we're going to sign, and some of the initial links are just letting the other teams use up their juice. So like the guy that's just gone Liverpool, he was on the list, but maybe wasn't top of the list. Liverpool have used up a bit of their juice now, so when we go for the next guy, they haven't got as much juice to try and up a little bit of money for the next guy. So I do love an alternate theory. Not that I believe that one that well, but just thought I'd throw it out there.
Let's do it. So long as we get the players that we want, I don't care. Long games, short games.
I think we'll be all right. Either way, I'll be shocked if we don't come out the other end of this window in a decent position. I'll be
absolutely. Shocked. Absolutely. Well, folks, we've come towards the end of the show. We did a comprehensive analysis of Brighton. Hopefully, if you're a Brighton fan, you'd think so. When we covered the financial situation, which they're the strongest team. We looked at their team minutes, their team quality, and the overall squad profile, which at the moment is higher than everybody else's. Though I think there's reasons why that is. Mainly because you haven't played that many minutes compared to the other teams, and you have been done well with injuries. But that's not to take away from the overall performance of Brighton this year, which has been solid. Lots to improve. I mean, Mitch both agree there's a lot of squad filling that needs to happen, and for a model that is dependent on transfers and selling players, it's going to be interesting how Brighton approach this window for sure. But overall take is very positive on Brighton, as always. We then covered the Bergvall scouting report, which was interesting to say the least. I think we both is coming across as press resistant, box-to-box midfielder, athletic, tall. It seems to be the right move for him to go to Forest to replace Anderson. Who knows? We might see him to really, really develop. But fortunately for Newcastle, we've got Miley, we've got Bruno, we've got some really good midfielders, and I think we're looking to go in another direction in terms of Bergvall himself. So I don't think either myself or Mitch think that he will be coming to Newcastle. So we've covered lots there. I had a fantastic show with you, Mitch. Mitch, I hope you enjoyed yourself. As always, just remind folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Where the Owls Sleep. Like I said earlier, the socials are the tag that's on the screen now at WTOS_pod. Come check us out. We run every Monday night, 8 o'clock, for normally about 2 hours. And that is that. Also, little side plug. I'm going to steal a little bit more time. Sorry, Philip.
Absolutely. Do your thing.
I'm going to a sit-in podcast on Fly on the Wall Perspective. So it's We Are Fly on the Wall Perspective. That's going live Sunday morning at 11:30. We're doing a little bit of football talk and then a little bit of general affairs stuff after. So if that's your thing, keep an eye out.
Guys, you've got to do it. They have some fantastic conversations, mature conversations. We don't get enough of that on YouTube, unfortunately. So please do take every advantage of that as well.
I
Folks,
wish I added that in, because we don't really do shameless, we don't really do noise, we don't really do arguments. It's a discussion, or don't come on the show, basically. Similar to Philip's show as well. We have a chat, we see how it goes, go back and forth. But pleasure being here as always, Philip. Thank you for having me, man. It's been
pleasure, absolute privilege, sir. More than that, absolute privilege to have you on the show, have you as a friend of the channel on the show. Folks, always love having you on, as always. And hopefully have you back. Hopefully back with Robojog. Robojog, you better contact me on X, because I don't have your X account. Don't make me track you down to cover Arsenal as well. So that'll be phenomenal. Folks, make sure you have a terrific morning, evening, whether you're about to go to sleep, about to go to work, whatever you're doing. Make sure you look after each other, and God bless you all. Take care, guys.
Take care.